Y&R Spoiler reveals Phyllis faces danger when Dumas discovers she's been stalking her. Never rests as conspiracies, secrets, and complicated relationships continue to creep into every corner of life. It seems like everything has calmed down, but in fact, new storms are brewing, especially when a series of main characters begin to move their dangerous chess pieces on the chessboard of power. Amidst it all, Phyllis is still a woman who is constantly struggling with her own ambition and obsession with power, always knowing how to grasp weaknesses and manipulate everyone around her, whether they are close friends or enemies. This time, Phyllis's target is none other than Amanda, who used to be an ally, a confidant, and even one of the few people Phyllis truly trusts. However, that long-standing relationship still does not stop Phyllis when she feels the need to achieve a greater goal or when she is pushed into a corner. The move to approach Amanda is not simply a repetition of the past, but a calculated game, where Phyllis is willing to turn her friends into pawns in exchange for her own benefits. Amanda, with all her wisdom and vigilance, still cannot avoid Phyllis's trap when everything is covered up so cleverly. The story begins when Amanda suddenly leaves her busy work elsewhere to return to Genoa, full of anxiety and anger because of Phyllis's confusing actions. Amanda has not received any signal from this friend for a long time, but suddenly, a series of messages, calls and even strange messages appear one after another. Although she wants to distance herself from the troubles of the past, Amanda still cannot be indifferent to the plea for help disguised in Phyllis's messages. So she rushed back to the city, carrying a series of unanswered questions and a mind ready to face the unpredictable storms. Amanda, with her strong temperament and sharp personality, immediately asked to meet Phyllis to find out the truth. Phyllis, of course, did not show any signs of weakness or confusion. She quickly made up a story about a new business idea, trying to appear to need Amanda's support and especially emphasized the need to approach Aristotle Dumas, the powerful boss Amanda was working with. On the surface, the story sounded convincing and reasonable, but with her sharp intuition, Amanda soon discovered the ambiguities and inconsistencies in her friend's story. Her vigilance increased when Phyllis basically admitted that she had no specific business plan, simply wanted to meet and exchange ideas. At this moment, Amanda realized that she had been drawn into a psychological trap, where every reason and every move was calculated by Phyllis to push her into a difficult position. Amanda not only faced disappointment for being taken advantage of by her friend, but also had to face risks that could affect her position and reputation, especially when it came to Aristotle Dumas, who was not easily manipulated or forgiving of any mistakes of his subordinates. While Amanda struggled with confusion and hidden anger, in another corner of the city, another secret was being gently shared by Holden with Clare. The unexpected trust that Holden had for Clare made her both surprised and suspicious. Clare was always on guard after family incidents, but the sincerity and somewhat weak look in Holden's eyes made her unable to ignore those confidences. The story that Holden reveals involves a part of the past that neither of them wants to recall, but has the potential to greatly affect the future of Clare as well as the Newman family. This truth is not only a bond between two people who are inherently strangers, but also a link to the conspiracy and trouble in Genoa, where power, hatred, and family secrets never sleep. While Clare wonders about Holden's true motives, the mysterious pieces begin to fit together, revealing to her a larger picture of the complex relationships between powerful families. Each detail that Holden reveals is like a small knife that penetrates Clare's false peace, causing her to gradually lose her inherent sense of security. She is forced to face a choice. Either continue to engage in that world full of traps, or step back to protect herself from the storms that are waiting to strike. But the more Clare learns, the more she is drawn into a vicious cycle where every decision costs faith, love, and even survival. Returning to Phyllis, after putting Amanda in a difficult position, she did not feel guilty at all, but on the contrary, she was satisfied because she had achieved her immediate goal. Phyllis always knew that only decisive action could help her maintain her position in Genoa, especially when she was surrounded by opponents ready to eliminate her at any time. However, it was her coldness, calculation, and habit of taking advantage of others that gradually pushed Phyllis into loneliness. Because when everyone around her understood that anyone could become a pawn in her hands, no one dared to truly trust or stand by Phyllis. Amanda, after realizing that she was dragged into this psychological game, stood between two lines: either accept being manipulated by Phyllis, or strongly resist and return everything she had suffered. Amanda's pride and self-respect do not allow her to be victimized again, but deep inside, she still cannot avoid feeling lost and hurt by the betrayal of her friendship. Every step, every decision of Amanda is now filled with doubt, as she knows that any move of hers can become leverage for Phyllis or the spark for a new chain of troubles. On the outside, life in Genoa is still bustling with new business projects, messy lawsuits, and calculating secret deals. But deep down, the cracks in close relationships are what make everything more dangerous and unpredictable than ever. It is in seemingly small moments, when trust is tested and secrets are gradually revealed, that every character must face the true limits of themselves as well as those they once thought were friends, allies, or even blood relatives. Amanda constantly ponders her own story, about why she is always the one dragged into other people's troubles. But when looking back at what she has been through, she understands that she must change, must be strong enough to face it, to never repeat the same mistakes. Amanda knows that, wherever she is, whether Phyllis continues her dangerous games or not, she will no longer be the easy-to-control person she was before. Each lesson, each wound helps her become more alert, to be able to choose her own path among the many twists and turns in Genoa. Meanwhile, Clare is no longer the dreamy young girl she was when she first entered the Newman family. The truth that Holden shared is like a sentence hanging over her head, forcing Clare to learn to bravely face reality, with the machinations of adults. Strength and independence are gradually replacing innocence, turning her into one of the formidable opponents in the future. She knows that every secret kept today can become a sharp weapon tomorrow, and only those who are truly steadfast can survive in Genoa's never-ending vortex of power. And so, the cycle of secrets, intrigue and betrayal continues, pushing each character closer to their predetermined fate or to rewrite it themselves. When trust becomes fragile, when truth and lies are separated by a thin line, every choice becomes fate. And Genoa will witness more and more uncompromising confrontations, where there is no room for weakness or compassion, but only the strong are strong enough to survive and win in the never-ending game of power. Where intrigue never dies down, once again witness the hidden battle between two intelligent and strong women, Phyllis and Amanda. On the surface, the two used to be friends, sharing many secrets as well as the most vulnerable moments, but now, under that friendly shell, there is hidden suspicion, caution, and even uncompromising calculation. Phyllis has never been the type to back down from any challenge or opponent, especially when she feels threatened, or when faced with the opportunity to control an unpredictable situation. With a bold and reckless nature, Phyllis is willing to do anything to achieve her goals, even if it means putting her best friend in a difficult position. Anyone who has been in contact with Phyllis for a long time understands that, once she sets her sights on someone or something, all emotional and moral barriers will be left behind, leaving only determination and a relentless spirit to go all the way. And this time, the target is Amanda. A woman with a sharp mind, a strong will, and at the same time holding many secrets related to Aristotle Dumas, her powerful boss and also her biggest client at the moment. Amanda is living stressful days when she has to shoulder the pressure of big projects, while trying to balance personal relationships, and more importantly, keeping things that cannot be shared with anyone about Dumas. Because of that secretiveness, Amanda is always the one who makes people around her curious, even suspicious every time she avoids mentioning work or private conversations related to Dumas. It is no coincidence that Phyllis pays so much attention to Amanda. Although the initial reason was just a hunch about something unusual, Phyllis's natural sensitivity helped her quickly recognize the fragmented pieces in her friend's actions and words. The times Amanda secretly answered the phone, the times she avoided questions about Dumas, or even the unusually anxious attitude whenever Phyllis mentioned the name of that powerful boss, none of it could escape Phyllis's eyes. The suspicion gradually grew into an obsession, urging Phyllis to find every way to lift the veil of secrecy that Amanda was trying to hide. In a moment of great risk, Phyllis secretly accessed Amanda's phone. An action that only she dared to think of, and could only come from someone who had experienced countless times facing the ambiguous boundary of right and wrong. With just a small mistake from Amanda, maybe leaving her phone on the table during an intimate meeting, or being distracted while rushing to answer a call, Phyllis quickly took advantage of the opportunity, bypassing the security code with a clever trick that only someone like her could think of. Successfully hacking the phone is not only a technical victory, but also a turning point that brings Phyllis closer to the secrets she has been searching for. When the text messages containing a series of ambiguous messages, secret exchanges between Amanda and Dumas appear before her eyes, Phyllis understands that she has stepped into a dangerous maze, where every truth can be a weapon, and every mistake is costly. However, what worries Phyllis is not only what she discovers, but also Amanda's reaction if she knows her privacy has been violated. Although she knows that she is standing on a thin line between morality and personal interests, Phyllis still cannot stop, because of her ambition, because of her desire to control and dominate others. That recklessness pushes the two women into confrontation, when Amanda increasingly notices unusual signs in Phyllis's behavior. Amanda's initial doubts quickly turn into growing insecurities, when she notices that Phyllis always appears at the right time every time she finishes an important call, or asks seemingly harmless questions but touches on her most sensitive points. Amanda's instinct to protect herself forces her to step back, re-evaluating the entire friendship that seemed close but turned out to be too risky. Phyllis, with her natural cunning, made no secret of her excessive interest in Amanda's secrets. On the contrary, she began to take an offensive stance, using all the information she had to put Amanda on the defensive. Phyllis might not have said what she knew outright, but just by hinting at a few small details, or mentioning sensitive topics that only the two of them had discussed, Amanda could clearly feel the pressure increasing. On one occasion, Phyllis overheard Amanda talking on the phone with a stranger, and just a few keywords were enough for Phyllis to accurately determine the content of the conversation related to Dumas. Although she did not know the whole story, Phyllis still decided to call Amanda directly, acting as if she had accidentally overheard the conversation and wanted to clarify whether her friend was lying or hiding something. Phyllis's straightforwardness and confidence forced Amanda into a ruthless psychological battle, where every word and expression could be analyzed into a series of complex hypotheses. In fact, Dumas was Amanda's boss and a major client, so contractual constraints and professional confidentiality regulations did not allow her to share too much with outsiders. However, Phyllis was a master at exploiting the opponent's psychology, forcing people around her to admit things they should not have said or at least reveal exploitable loopholes. Amanda, no matter how brave and calm she was, could not avoid moments of weakness under the psychological pressure caused by Phyllis. In this silent confrontation, Phyllis gradually pushed Amanda into a difficult situation. If she kept silent, she would have to endure increasing pressure from her friend who was suspicious and gradually distancing herself. If she admitted anything, Amanda would risk losing the trust of Dumas, a boss who was known to be cold and never forgiving of betrayal or negligence. Therefore, Amanda fell into a state of isolation and deadlock, not knowing who to share with or which direction to choose between the two lines of morality and interests. But with the fortitude of a woman who had experienced many events, Amanda did not easily succumb to pressure. She began to observe Phyllis's every move more closely, analyzing everything that had happened to determine whether she had really been hacked or just trapped by psychological drama. Instead of showing her confusion, Amanda chose to confront silently. She built herself a stronger cover, and was more careful in every word and action, even changing her daily habits to avoid falling into the trap that Phyllis had set. In another development, things do not stop at these two women. The secrets that Amanda is holding related to Dumas, intentionally or unintentionally, may be an important link connecting a series of hidden conspiracies in the Genoa business world. Phyllis, with her sharp instincts, realizes that and is even more determined to reveal everything, not only for her own benefit but also to increase her power and consolidate her position in the never-ending spiral of fighting in this city. As each day passes, the situation becomes more and more tense. Phyllis continues to use every trick, from pretending to be close, interested in Amanda's personal life, to spreading rumors about the relationship between Amanda and Dumas to test her friend's reaction. Amanda, although trying to maintain a calm mask, deep inside she still cannot help but worry that her secrets may be revealed at any time. This battle is not simply a confrontation between two strong personalities, but also a testament to how trust, once eroded by suspicion and betrayal, will gradually disintegrate any relationship, no matter how strong. Genoa, where secrets are always the most valuable commodity, continues to witness a new vortex, where powerful women constantly challenge each other, dragging along powerful men and a series of unpredictable consequences. Whatever the outcome of this confrontation, whoever pays the highest price for their choices, one thing is certain: after all, no one will retain the innocence and purity of the early days. They will only be left with psychological scars, traces of ambition, suspicion, and betrayal in the never-ending vortex of Genoa City. In the early days of summer, when the atmosphere in Genoa City is both hot and stifling due to the endless conflicts between powerful families, outsiders accidentally become the focus of dangerous undercurrents that even they cannot imagine. In a place where all secrets seem to have been exposed, there are still things that have never been said, mysteries buried deep in relationships, just waiting for the right moment to explode into unpredictable events. This time, new pieces begin to move when Holden and Clare, two people who seem to have nothing to do with each other, are unexpectedly drawn into the same orbit, starting a chain of events that will change everything. Desper, with an innocent request that even she did not expect, accidentally opens a new turn in the already complicated story of Genoa City. From a seemingly ordinary situation, a request, an unintentional action, everything begins to change. Desper only wanted to ask Holden for some errands, but Claire's timely appearance forced the two to stay together, forced to cooperate and talk, even though there was always a distance between them, an invisible wall of suspicion and caution. It was strange that Holden and Clare suddenly became close when before they seemed to be two parallel lines that never intersected. This change made many people curious, especially when their actions became more and more synchronized and closely coordinated, as if both were hiding something or participating in a common conspiracy that outsiders could not understand. The big question was, what made these two people find common ground, and what was their real secret? And then, on a gloomy afternoon, Holden suddenly opened up to Clare, revealing to her a secret that he had never dared to tell anyone. At that moment, the space seemed to quiet down, only the whispers and hesitant eyes of the two remained. Holden, who was reserved, experienced, and always knew how to hide behind a cold appearance, now took the initiative to share with Clare, the girl he once thought was too immature to understand the hidden corners of this world. That secret, like a scratch on the surface of a calm lake, awakened old memories of Audra Charles. The woman who had appeared so attractively in Holden's past and was also the most disruptive factor in the lives of many people in Genoa City. Audra was not only Holden's past but also the haunting reality of Kyle, Claire, and even those who seemed unrelated. Holden admitted that, many years ago, he had helped Audra overcome a major incident, a secret that no one but the two of them knew. This was both a debt of gratitude and the reason why Holden could never get rid of the troubles that Audra brought. Claire sat quietly listening, her heart filled with mixed emotions. She had heard rumors about Holden and Audra's relationship, but had never imagined how complicated and dangerous it was. When Holden offered to help her, just as he had helped Audra, Claire immediately realized that she was walking on a thin line between sympathy and caution. Was this kindness truly out of goodwill, or was it just another move in a hidden game she had never known about? Claire had long disliked the psychological games Kyle was playing with Audra. Kyle, who was intelligent but cold, always knew how to make others feel insecure, especially those who dared to invade his personal space. Audra, with her strong survival instinct, was never an easy victim. She knew how to manipulate, how to use a weak appearance to hide her deep intentions, making Kyle both attracted and wary.